For this class, which is themes in contemporary art. Yeah, it's going to be a fun semester. We're going to look basically about 1945 to roughly 2000 this semester. So we're going to have a pretty kind of constrained time period, which is nice. We can kind of dig into some different topics. And I think this will be a good course. So today, I'd like to introduce myself, find out who you all are. And then we'll go over the syllabus and maybe spend a few minutes just on a brief kind of PowerPoint, setting the stage for kind of how we get to 1945. I've put everything on Canvas already for you. So if we don't get this fixed, we can at least kind of, if some of you have tablets or computers, we can just kind of go through it that way. And if not, we'll figure it out. We'll get it going. Yeah, any questions before we start? All right, yes.
Do we only have like 2 tests we have to worry about?
I'm not going through that. You know me. You know me.
Yeah.
I know why you took this class.
I do.
All right. So as I said, I'm Clayton Kindred. You can call me Clayton. That's fine. This is my second semester here at Memphis. My wife and I and my 2 kids moved from Chicago last year, so a little bit of a change, but it's been great. It's nice to be back on a bigger campus. I was teaching at a smaller school in Chicago, but yeah, it's good to be back on a bigger campus. I got a PhD at Ohio State, so I'm used to kind of this is a small class for me actually, so this is great. My specialty is 19th century French and British art. I think a couple of you are in my other class as well, so we'll be doing that. Neoclassicism to Romanticism, if you still need another class, that's a good one to take. And I've kind of been teaching and developing this kind of modern and contemporary curriculum for Memphis, but also at Ohio State for a few years now. And I kind of have it, I think, narrowed down to a good selection of the big famous people, right? Jackson Pollock, Andy Warhol, Robert Smithson, but also a good collection of smaller artists that I think are kind of working more like on the ground, right? That are doing things that are not exactly in the institutional context, but are really kind of pushing art and pushing the social context of art forwards. That's kind of how we'll set up this class. We'll do the big people, and we'll also do some smaller people that are working in galleries, some people that are teaching at institutions, things like that, okay? So that'll be good. What do we think here? I guess let's just do introductions with you all first and see if we can get this fixed. Robin, would you like to start? Just maybe tell me and tell everybody else who you are, maybe what year you are, and what your major is. We'll do a lot of discussion in this course, so I think it's good for us kind of just to get to know each other. Yeah, Robin, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Robin Person. I'm technically a junior, even though this is only my second year. I'm a double major in anthropology and art with a concentration in global art histories. So.
Robin, good to see you again.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm currently a senior and I'm majoring in studio arts at the moment.
Ooh, almost a repeat. Kendall Gloucester, Studio Arts Senior.
Good, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm Sarah. It's my second semester in the Master of Photography.
Good, thanks.
Wilson Whitlock. This is my final semester as in the MFA program.
Good.
And my focus is painting.
Nice, thanks.
My throat.
Hey everyone, my name is Kaylon. I'm a senior and my major is studio art.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a senior and my major is visual art with a minor in art history. My name is Allison. I'm a senior and I'm studying art history.
Nice.
Hello, my name is Jaden. I'm a senior and I'm a photography major.
How's it going, guys? My name is Harold, art history major, senior.
Were you an history major last semester? Were you? Good for you.
I've been here, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I've been here. Yeah.
My name is Sophie Donnelly. I'm a studio arts major and I'm a junior.
Nice to meet you, Sophie.
I'm Tony Caldwell. I'm a senior and I'm a graphic design major.
I'm Marcy Garcia. My year is to be a junior. My major is computer science and my minor is studio arts.
Good, nice to meet you. Kian?
I'm Kian. I'm a senior, studio arts. Good times. Good times.
How y'all doing, family? I'm Elisha.
I'm a senior, art education, artist me and I am art.
I'm Angelina, I'm a senior and a graphic design major.
Nice to meet you.
Myron, junior, graphic design major.
Good to see you, Byron.
I'm Rachel, I'm a senior and I'm a photography major.
I'm Owen, I am a psychology major with a minor in arts history.
My name is August, I am a sophomore and I'm a photography major.
My name's Winnie, I'm a senior and my major is photography.
I'm Alice, my major is graphic design and I'm a sophomore.
Great, nice to meet you.
Tristan, sophomore, graphic design.
See you again, Desmond.
Noah, I'm a junior photography major.
Hello.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Alex. I am a photo major here in Gilbert, Memphis, and I am 18.
Nice to meet you, Alex. Come on in. Sorry, we're introducing everyone. I'm Clayton. Nice to meet you. If you want to just say your name real quick, we can kind of get back to it.
Alright, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Parking was trash.
Hey, I understand.
My name is Cass. I'm a art education major. This will be my second semester here at University of Memphis, but I am classified as a junior.
Great, nice to meet you. Okay, so good to meet you all. As I said, this class sort of a mix of kind of lecture and discussion based, so it's good that you all kind of, a lot of you know each other, that's great. We'll do a lot of visual analysis in this course. We'll kind of spend our time, as I said, looking maybe only at 2 or 3 works of art each day. We can be kind of constrained, very focused, since we're only doing about 50 years. This is kind of a global course, and I've organized it around themes in contemporary art. They sort of expect this class to be taught differently each semester. It's kind of the middle level kind of pro seminar. So I took the topic a little bit, well, very literally, and I kind of broke this course down into 4 themes, right? In my mind, contemporary art is a search for something, and we can kind of set this up as a dichotomy between contemporary art, right, and modern art. Modern art being what time period, roughly? When we say modern art, what are we talking about?
21st, 20th century.
Yeah, like roughly kind of that border of the 20th and 21st century is what we think of as the transition from modern to contemporary, right? And if we're talking about the 19th century to the 20th century, it's in my mind at least a reaction to something, right? Art is always reactionary in this period. It's reacting to the fall and the decline and fall of the monarchy. It's reacting to industrialization in Europe. It's reacting to living wage standards and workers' rights in Karl Marx era Paris, right? It's reacting to revolution, to World War. It's a reaction to everything. That sort of changes on this 21st century border. It becomes less a reaction to and more a search for. And so this contemporary period that we're talking about, I've organized it, I think, pretty well in search of these kind of different themes. So I know you can't see the syllabus right now. I'm sorry, we're still working on this PowerPoint or on this projector. Let's see. But it's up on Canvas if you are able to pull it up. It's on the files right now. It's going to take just a minute to do it. We can have a look at it. If you don't have it, it's okay. You can just look at somebody else's or follow along with me. Mine. Okay. So if you're there, if you're reading along with me, so the course description, this course examines themes in contemporary art emerging from 1945 to 2000. Emphasis is placed on the role of the artist and the scholar during the period. Readings play an important part in this class and demonstrate intersections between artistic practice and issues of politics, war, race, gender, and religion. you all will be introduced to various analytical methodologies employed by our historians, specifically those, as I said, related to visual and historical analysis. As Kaylin said, we have 2 short written responses, a midterm and a final. So there's not a ton of work, and we'll kind of come back to these assignments, but there's not a ton of work. And your main job basically is to do the readings and to show up and to participate, right? This is a discussion-based class. There's no required textbook. I will put all of your readings on Canvas. There's not a ton of them. I think I have it set up so there's basically 1 major reading every other week and a kind of a minor reading once a week, here 4 to 5 pages, something like that. Okay, so let's go down to the schedule then, if you're following along. So, again, I tried to organize this class around particular themes, around the topics, and I tried to do it chronologically. There are some periods where we kind of jump ahead, but we're going to start basically World War II, 1940s, right? So the first 3 weeks, I have the search for meaning. This is that first theme we kind of look at, a search for meaning. The world has gone to hell, right? We've been through World War I in 1914 to 1920. We've had hundreds of thousands at that point of people killed. Russia, which is the breadbasket, right, of Eastern Europe at that point, it feeds millions, has been burned. There's famine. The world is not in a good place. Then we get to the Depression in America, 1929, 1930. Once again, it bankrupts the country. People starve on the streets. It's not a good place to be. Then we get to World War II, and not hundreds of thousands of people this time, it's millions of people that die. Right? This is a bad time to be alive. Everything is changing, and we have to find meaning. We have to find new meaning. Spirituality isn't there anymore. Right, this is kind of the dark ages of spirituality in Europe and in the US. The Nazis, right, are killing people, exterminating people for their religious beliefs, among other things. Right? Spirituality isn't there. It's a search for something else. So the first thing we're going to look at is the search for meaning. And we'll start by looking at 3 artists today. We can kind of get to it. 2 before, well, 1 before World War II, and then 2 that kind of interact around World War II. We'll start with Henry Tonks, Carlotta Solomon, and Jackson Pollock, just for a few minutes to kind of set the scene. And then we'll sort of go out, we'll go abroad. We will go to Japan, we'll look at Gutai and Fluxus, we'll look at The Happenings, John Cage, Alan Caprow, as they search kind of for something like stability in life. Week 2, the search for meaning 2. Again, we'll talk about Fluxus. We'll read the Fluxus Manifesto. We'll look at Robert Rauschenberg, and we will look at minimalism and color field painting in the U.S. with Helen Frankenthaler, Mark Rothko, Kenneth Noland. And then the search for meaning, week 3, last time. We will look at consumerism, the rise of kind of capital culture in the U.S. and in England following World War II, this kind of economic boom that occurred. We'll look at Richard Hamilton, Eduardo Palozzi, and then we will also look at Warhol, but we're going to look at a different side of Warhol. We're going to look at some of the darker, the more macabre things that Warhol did to kind of understand, again, the search for meaning in life. Something beyond spirituality, something beyond money, something beyond fame. Now, those of you that took a couple of my classes last semester, some of this will be familiar to you. I've kind of taken that into consideration. I'm going to try to do things from a little bit of a different angle that you all had. So we'll talk about some of the same artists, but I'm going to do it a little different for you all. The second theme, as we get into the 60s and the 70s that we're going to look at, is a search for place, a search for space, right? We think about the 60s and the 70s in America and in Europe as this kind of migration towards the cities, right? Rural life is kind of falling away, agriculture is being replaced, by mechanization. This is also a time, right, of course, in the South, civil rights, sharecropping. There's this industrial divide between the city and the country, between the north and the south. And so instead of looking at urbanization, we're going to go the other way. We're going to look at a theme, a search for place and a search for space. We're going to go outside the city. We're going to look at some land artists, ecological artists. Again, those of you that had last semester, we'll look at Nancy Holt and James Turrell. We're going to go a little bit beyond that. We'll look at Andy Goldsworthy, Maya Lin, and Joseph Beuys, both in the U.S. and in Europe, in Germany. So we'll do this kind of search for place, the search for space for 2 weeks. Then beginning in late February is kind of what I think as the core of this course. We've sort of come through the war period. We've come through this idea, or at least the kind of movement proper of civil rights in the U.S. And I think art then begins in the 70s and 80s to be about a search for identity, to find out who these artists really are, and to find their place in the world. So we'll start with topics on political interventions, Joseph Beuys, Hans Hack, thinking about the role of the museum and the artist in the political context. This is, of course, also the Cold War period. We will look at the rise of feminist arts in the 1980s with Judy Chicago, Carolee Schneemann, Mary Kelly. We will also read Linda Nochlund's very famous, very important article, Why Have There Been No Great Women Artists? It's kind of written cheekily if you don't know that. The second section on identity and a search for kind of one's own place in the world. We'll look at Robert Mapplethorpe and Keith Haring. We'll talk about AIDS in the U.S. And how it really changed kind of the artistic conversation around homosexuality, particularly in New York. Your midterm will be on March 5th. It will probably just be an essay. What do you think?
I thought you was gonna do slide ideas.
You want slide ideas or not?
No.
Harold?
I love slide ideas.
Chill out.
Alright, it's probably just gonna be an
Alright, guys,
essay.
don't shoot me, please.
It'll probably just be an essay. I'll give you the prompt beforehand, and you'll come to class and do it. Okay? Spring break, March 10th to 12th, we don't have class. Week 9 we'll come back and do the third section on identity. We will look at the postmodern period at this point. We'll kind of switch, as Robin said, this 21st century kind of mindset, the 1990s, around the 2000s. This is where we jump ahead a little bit, but we'll look particularly at Cindy Sherman and Barbara Kruger. We'll read Roland Barthes, and we'll also look at Kara Walker, who I know a lot of you are really interested in. I think that will be a good week of discussion. All right, week 10, we will switch towards the global art. We'll move from the U.S. and from the West particularly. First we spend a week in Germany, looking at kind of the rise of German national art in this communist period. This is an interesting section because there is a return, I think, to a return of art in Germany to something like this idea of nationalism and patriotism that gets wrapped up really kind of in, Nazism. But at the same time, it's really these artists, George Baselitz, Anselm Kiefer, Gerhard Richter, a little bit, that really push the art world towards kind of a contemporary global industry. So you have this really kind of interesting tension between artists who, by and large, don't have the world's greatest political views, while also they're really putting global art in focus. So then we'll kind of move. We'll go to Basquiat, and we'll look at again Keith Haring, Shepard Fairey in the U.S., and then we'll kind of finally leave the West. We'll go to Asia. In week 13, we will look at some of the arts that emerges out of the 1990s communist China crackdown, Tiananmen Square periods. Week 13, this kind of search for dislocation, the search for war as an answer. So we'll look at China. We will also look at contemporary artists from Israel and Palestine and how they both deal with the Israel-Palestine conflict, but how they deal with themselves and kind of their place in the war. Week 14, again, we'll kind of continue on with this idea of dislocation and war. We will look at some works of art that have become caught up in the global sort of black market trade. We'll look at the global art market. We'll talk about the use of art by the Islamic State, by Al-Qaeda. And then we will actually finish off with, in week 15, the last day of class is going to be the final exam, April 28th. Does anybody know, I feel like this is you, Kian. Do you know Matthew Berry?
The dude that works here?
No.
No.
Well, I hope not. If I didn't know that, I'm bad at art history.
Dude, Matthew.
I don't know. Does anybody know Matthew Berry? Okay. He's a filmmaker. It's a little weird. He likes vampires. And his vampires are non-gendered. They're sometimes heterosexual, sometimes homosexual. It's a very odd thing. He created a series of these vampire movies called the Cremaster series. It's an odd thing. It's very important to the history of art. He's a very important contemporary artist who doesn't often get talked about because he's just an odd person to teach. So what we are going to do is look at his Cremaster videos, and then we are going to do our final exam based on those Cremaster series. Now, I don't like vampires that much. I'm not doing this because I have a personal interest in it, so sorry to disappoint. But his videos really kind of sum up this whole idea of searching for a place in the art world, right? He's not exactly your typical painter. He's not exactly your typical photographer, right? He's kind of doing weird things at the intersection of all of these issues of race and gender, and he's pushing art kind of in this very interesting direction where it combines this high culture, right? He's filming, he's doing this really high level filming. He has a background in Hollywood where he's also combining it then with this kind of, low level visual cultural phenomenon of vampires. So he kind of sums up a lot of this, and he's an interesting person to learn about. So I think doing him for the final will be kind of a good summation to this course. And as Katie and Kilon will tell you, I typically like my finals to kind of be a little more of like, show me what you've learned and show me what you think, than trying to just kind of then trying to just like make you just sit here and fail. So I think that will be a good summation to the course. Sorry, I know that was quick, and I know without the projector that's kind of tough. But does anybody have any questions? Any thoughts?
I have a question.
Yes.
So what are the reflection essays?
Okay. So the reflection essays, so the assignments in this course, you have a midterm and a final. Again, the midterm is just going to be an in-class essay. The final will be an essay written about this Cremaster video series. The reflection essays, you have 2 of those as well. The first one is what, week 10? Or week 4? Week 4, yeah, week 4. So what we will do is we will do this class on February 10th. That's the first week of the place and space theme. We will talk about Robert Smithson as well as Adam Indietta. And I'm gonna give you sort of a prompt, right? Something that we talked about. And you're gonna read Hans Hack. He has a sort of a famous essay on how museums can like now be anything, right? With these new artists, the outside is a museum. It's a space for Smithson to put his spiral jetty thing, right? And I'm going to ask you basically a question. You just have to kind of reflect on it, like a small essay. Maybe for grad students, maybe I'm going to ask you 5 paragraphs, something like that. Undergrads, 3. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
It's not that much.
No, it's not. So that's it. So you'll have a reading. We'll talk in class. You'll have a reading in class, and then the reflection essay will just be a question based on what we talked about.
Okay.
Good question. Also, those of you that have had me before, again, I just kind of said this, but I don't view this class as a way to like hurt your GPA. Do what you're supposed to do, show up, do the assignments. We'll all learn, have a good time, and you'll get out here with your grade. That being said, those of you that have also had me know that if you don't show up, you will not pass. Although I think all of you that are in here did that last time. Maybe not you, Kian. Okay, good. Anything else? Any other questions? Is that a question, Harold?
No, I'm thinking.
Okay. You good? Yeah.
Can it be an art question?
Yeah. Remind me your name again?
Elisha.
Elisha, yeah.
Do you like Andy Warhol's pop art more than the dark paintings?
I do. Can you I have a thought? Should I tell Elisha my feelings on Andy Warhol?
Damn, I can speak for you.
Yeah, sure.
I can tell you my.
No, he didn't ask about yours. He didn't ask about yours. So, okay, so here's the deal. I like Andy Warhol. Like full stop. I like Andy Warhol. He's very important, and
Wait.
I like Andy Warhol.
Before you ask this question, he's like my top 3.
Okay, no, so great.
Before you ask this question.
He's great. So I like Andy Warhol. He's very important. Has a very interesting backstory, and I think if we're talking about searching, right? If we're talking about finding meaning in things, his is the life example that you want to look to, right? He is a poor immigrant kid who can't really read, who is sick as a child, who has a very domineering mother and a very absent father, right? He has this kind of natural talent. He gets to Carnegie. A professor finally takes interest in him and says, listen, you got to get out of Pittsburgh. You got to go to New York, right? And he tries to make it on his own. Like he searches for his own place. He does. And I mean, like again, he doesn't start off as Andy Warhol. He starts off doing
magazines.
He does magazines, but you know what he does? Like specifically in the magazines?
He would like illustrate like shoes and stuff.
Shoes. He does women's heels and women's lingerie.
Yeah.
That's what Andy Warhol. That's how he starts out, right? So if you're talking about a search for meaning, and he's gay, right? He doesn't fit in. He's not classically educated.
Yeah.
Right. If we're talking about a search for meaning, a search for place, for identity, it's Andy Warhol. He's great.
Aesthetically, though.
Okay. So here's.
But to answer the question,
yeah,
the pop art or the dark paintings? Because I don't hear a lot of people talk about the dark paintings.
Yeah, that's why we do it.
Dark paintings are really nice.
So I like the dark paintings because I think it's a little more him, right? He is all these things I just said. He's also a deeply troubled person, and I think the dark paintings are a little more him coming through instead of like the search for wealth and fame and power that come with the Elvis prints and the Marilyn prints and things like that. What I would also say is that, and this was what I was saying to Kian, right? Like I have a hard time teaching Warhol because like you can't do it in a week.
Yeah.
You can't do it in 2 weeks. So why I don't generally spend a ton of time on like the happy poppy Andy Warhol is because I think it's easier to get into Warhol. It's easier to get into the mindset of someone in that period by looking at the car crashes, by looking at the JFK assassinations, by looking at the picture of Jackie after John dies, right? It's easier to understand him and to understand like where the world is, both artistically and culturally at that point, by not looking at a Brillo box.
Yeah, okay, okay, I understand.
Good question.
If you were to ask him aesthetically, he would probably
What?
not say Warhol.
Probably would say Warhol. No, it's a good question.
In terms of the dark paintings, if you remember an essay that I wrote you, would the burning heart also be considered one of it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I like his relationship with Basquiat.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I like his relationship with Truman Capote. Yeah. No, I like Warhol. Warhol's great. And it's like, so as I was saying at the beginning, right, there's a couple ways you can teach a contemporary class. You can teach the people that are like maybe actually sort of on the ground, like doing the work, that don't get a lot of publicity but are really pushing art forward. Or you can teach this linear progression of Jackson Pollock to Andy Warhol to Keith Haring to Basquiat to Banksy, right? You can just do this linear progression if you want. I think the best way to do it is just to mix both of them, especially for people who are like art students, right? If I was teaching in the econ building, maybe I would just say, this is Andy Warhol. Not to, rag on the economists. Although they never did anything right. But like, this is how we're gonna do it, right? We'll do the highs and the lows, the big and the little. I think it makes for a good class. It makes for a good discussion-based class.
How do you feel about Jackson Pollock?
Can't hide about Jackson Pollock.
Ooh, oh my God.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
Yeah,
The
no, I
GOAT.
think Pollock's not as good as Gibbs.
You make me have respect for Pollock.
Wasn't he a terrible husband?
I didn't say a good a person as
Like,
Gibbs.
as an artist, like.
Well, so this is a question too that we have to deal with in the contemporary period that you don't have to deal with in the Renaissance. In the Renaissance, we by and large don't know a lot about Michelangelo's personal life. We don't know a whole lot about Bernini's personal life. We know a fair amount about Donatello's personal life. A weirdo. But, right, you don't have to separate this.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you like Kanye's music?
No.
Anybody like Kanye's music?
I like his old music.
Harold likes Kanye's music. Harold's probably not going to stand on this table and tell you that he thinks Kanye is the world's best guy.
No.
Right?
No,
So,
absolutely not.
It's really hard to like disconnect like people from like their work
It is.
sometimes. Like
Of course.
I actually think his wife actually has a ton of really great art.
oh.
Wait, I think it's all
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
We will talk,
We'll talk
about
about that.
Jackson Pollock.
So Jackson Pollock, right? This is another thing you gotta deal with, is separating, in a lot of instances, you're separating the identity or the background of people in the contemporary period from their art, because we were able to interact with that now in a better way than you can in the 1900s or the 1800s or the 1700s, right? And this is a topic we'll talk about. I mean, listen, there's gonna be some tough things in this class. Like the end of the semester, when we talk about Israel and Palestine, right? It doesn't really matter what you think, like, about this equation. If you are on one side or the other, there are artists from both places who are making really great, really important art. And you have to decide as individuals whether you are able to separate that or whether you want to separate that. I'm not gonna tell you whether you should or you shouldn't. But, right, there's art that's being made that's important and that is good everywhere. And you gotta figure out what you think about that. Anything else? Okay, leave. This is not working.
Okay,